Welcome back to the Mobile Home Investing Lessons podcast with your host, John Fedro. Tune in weekly, plus listen to past episodes designed to make you money, save you time, and give you confidence as an active mobile home investor. Now, here's your host, John Fedro.
Well, let's get started then. This is cool.
Yeah, crank it up.
Heck yeah. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is the Mobile Home Investing Lessons podcast. I am so happy to have Dan here, to have Katie here, to have the puppy here that I don't remember the name. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, John. We're excited to be here. So, puppy's name is Kamora. Yeah, so it's Dan, Katie, and Kamora. Yeah, we're excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Of course. What's the Kamora? I never heard that name before.
Yeah, cool name, right? So we got the dog a couple of years ago, and we had just started our jujitsu journey. So it's a hobby that Katie and I share. And when we were starting, and when we get this pup, we were like, what are we going to name it, right? And we were looking at all kinds of cool names. And in jujitsu, there's a kind of a control hold and a manipulation of the wrist. It's like an arm lock, and it's called Kamora. And I just always liked that move, and I like the name itself. So that's how we came up with the name for the pup.
Very cool. Oh, that's awesome. I like that you have that hobby together.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's something we enjoy a lot.
Fitness and self-defense, and man, that's awesome. Wow, you have not been investing for a tremendous amount of time, and in that short amount of time, we'll talk a little bit more about your history or background. But in that short amount of time, I'm curious, how long have you been investing in mobiles, or we've been working together? And then what has been the most profitable deal? What's been the least profitable deal? Just like numbers wise, like
Yeah, absolutely. Set the table. So, we've been investing together with you as a team just a little over a year. We started March 1st in 2021. During the pandemic, we were looking to start our investing journey, and we started in single family homes. That's where our target was originally. And then when we started getting into it, we realized, wow, this is such a saturated space, right? And it was difficult to break into. So at that point, we were looking for other options, and we found mobile homes and mobile home investing, and we've been just loving it ever since. So we've been doing it for a little over a year. And probably the most profitable deal that we've had so far was our first deal. We bought a double wide for, I think, around $6,000. And then we ended up putting maybe $4,000 into it. So we were into it for about $10,000 or $11,000 total. And then we sold it on payments for $43,500. So it was for our first deal, that was just a home run for us. We were really excited.
Yes, that's right. And now you sold that on payments.
On payments, yes, sir.
We'll come back to that one. That was a very good one. A not so good one, or on the low side.
Yeah. The less than ideal one that we had was our second property. So we were coming off that first property just with a lot of momentum and a lot of excitement, and then we purchased a second home, a single wide, for $1,500. So we were like, wow, we were thinking we could fix it up, market it for $20,000-$25,000. That's what comps were going for. And then we ended up, we did that. It took a little longer to fix up than we anticipated. So there was some extra holding costs there, some kind of frustration there. But once we did, we ended up selling it for $15,900 for a cash deal. So not as much of a profit there, but we still made out okay. But that was our least, our least profitable sale so far.
What do you think you walked away with on that one?
I think we were probably close to $5,000. I think we walked away on that one. Yeah, it was just less than ideal, but still profit. So we were ultimately just happy to get rid of it. Kind of funny story with that property. When we a female called me and said, "Hey, I want to sell my home, and you want to come take a look at it?" So she said, "Yeah, absolutely." Took a ride over, and she ended up answering the door in lingerie. And it was funny. It was, my second property. I had no idea what to expect. And I had just got engaged with my wife now, Katie. So at first I thought I was being tricked. I thought maybe my groomsmen, set this whole thing up because, I've been telling everyone about how much fun this is and how well the first deal went. So my radar was up. It was pinging. I was like, oh man, where's my best man? He's going to jump out of here out of a cake or something. But there was no cake, but there was a half naked lady showing me her home, which was kind of awkward.
Ooh. And
Yeah.
and you did close on that one. Okay, and then it took a while to fix. And we'll talk more about maybe both of those. And I know there's been others since, and you've sold for payments, you've sold for cash. I'd like to hear from both of you. Katie, I'm sorry, I've been not ignoring you on purpose. I'm so sorry.
Oh no. Okay.
What do you like? And maybe Katie, you can start this. What's something that you really like about this business, or something that you hate about this business? Or dislike, I guess, extremely, or something that, just put you both on the spot.
Well, selling the properties would probably be the highlight. No, and there's a lot of surprisingly wonderful things that have come out of the last year in the mobile home industry. A lot of challenges. Dan and I were talking about earlier, and what a difference you feel like you're making in the community with people that can't afford those single family houses, and giving them this opportunity to afford something, own it, and they get really excited to have the keys to their first home, or to finally get into a home of their own. And we've made a lot of connections with people in the communities and been able to help each other out, and it's just opened up a whole new door. So a lot of good things have definitely stood out over the past year.
Yeah, I think I would second that, John. I think we've made some great relationships with local folks in the community, helping sellers, helping buyers. And then there's some on the not so good side, right? There's been some definite roadblocks and challenges that we've experienced through this process, through this year. And, COVID hasn't helped. So starting a business in the middle of a pandemic was very challenging. And there was some inherent challenges with that in itself. Like finding contractors, or the cost of supplies, or things like that. So we've kind of had to navigate through those challenges together as a team. But then, when we finally do make sales, or when we meet folks in the community, that when you sell a house to someone that's in need, it's such a good feeling. And when you see their kids in the property, and they're running around saying, "Oh, I want this bedroom," and they're fighting over bedrooms, because they've been staying in a hotel for the past 6 months. It's truly just inspirational. So we've had some great experiences, and we've had some roadblocks. So it's just been a roller coaster, but a good one.
How do you juggle and manage all the time with everything that you have going on? And I mean, how do you manage the time? You work full time.
Yes, sir.
Obligations.
Yeah. Time management is definitely been a priority for us during this process, right? During the last year, trying to scale the business, and it's coming down to really just discipline and daily action. I think trying to prioritize what is the most important thing to us, and then how we're going to get there. So, Katie's great at identifying goals that she wants to accomplish, in the next 3 to 6 to 9 months. And, we sit down together as a team and kind of go over that goal setting. And then we strategize, right? And we say, hey, well, this is the end goal. How do we get from here to there? And whether it be health and fitness, or, relationships, family goals, or business goals, right? So Katie and I both work full time. We love our jobs, but what we're trying to do is create financial freedom for both of us and our family. And this is one avenue of approach to that goal. So the ultimate idea is keeping the why, understanding the why. Why are we doing this? Because to your point, John, it is very difficult to manage, say jujitsu, or family vacations, stuff like that. We've been out working ourselves here for quite a long time. So it's, but I think with the end goal in mind, it makes it all worth it.
Yeah. And to add on to that, I got to say that, you're not going to hit everything in one day, every day. We've both got our full-time jobs. We're starting a family. We've got a house that we have to take care of, and family out of town that we have to take care of, and things that we want to do, our own hobbies. And so managing all of that, sometimes it feels like you're really dropping the ball in one area and then playing catch up later. And one of the things that I think helps with that is to give yourself grace, and just know that, every day, if you do a little bit of something, it's going to make a big impact in the end. So whether it's making the signs one day, spending some time doing that, or putting advertisements out for contractors, or, just taking a little piece at a time, and over time that compounds and adds up.
That is so right. Oh, giving yourself grace. My goodness, I'm terrible at that. But you're so right about that. Your to-do list. I mean, if you're not outsourcing things or automating things, if it's you doing everything, yeah, you should have a big long to-do list. And every day you're only knocking out a couple, 5, 10, maybe not that many, maybe more, maybe less things. And every day you're taking a noticeable, to big step forward. And yeah, you don't get everything done, and there's priorities, but that's a really good point, that it adds up big time over days, every single day.
We're running very lean now, right? It's just Katie and myself and the pup, and it's our little team here. And I think one of the greatest benefits of running lean, at least in the beginning, and is learning the process and then having trust in the process. And John, you've been great as a mentor with us, because you've had a lot of patience. I know we've asked a lot of questions of you and on the process. And in the beginning, I had no idea what to expect, right? But after you make a couple of sales and you really build up momentum, it's contagious and it's exciting, and you get that momentum and you feel like you're on fire. You're like, this is great. So I think the key takeaway is just to, like Katie said, give yourself grace and trust the process and daily action. If you can commit to being disciplined and having daily action, no matter how big or small it is, that snowball is going to gain momentum, and it's exciting when it does.
Man, I am so proud of you both. I mean, to see everything that what you started with, or just came from, and starting from nothing, real estate wise, and making this reputation for yourself. And there's so much more to do, and making good money for yourself, but not just that, giving back, treating sellers with respect and treating buyers with respect. And even do you mind if we talk about, I don't even know what you'd call it, when you went and helped that seller? Could you talk a little bit about that, or how that even happened? Or, I mean, I haven't done that rarely. Or what was that all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been working with one mobile home park. We're in a couple of different parks, and we've got some great relationships with mobile home park managers. And I think that's the start of things, right? So in one particular park, we've got a very strong relationship with a park manager, and he became aware of a situation where one of the tenants in his park was in hospice, and she was in her 60s. She had some sort of cancer, and she ended up being admitted to hospice. So her elderly mother, who was in her 90s, I think 93, by default ended up, taking on the mobile home. And she was living on limited income. She was living on a very limited income. And now she was all of a sudden responsible for her daughter's mobile home. And then all the utilities, the lot rent, et cetera, et cetera. So, and her daughter, right? Yeah, it was a very emotionally taxing and difficult time for her. So, the park manager found out that there was some local investors, sharks, so to speak, trying to pick off this elderly woman, trying to take advantage of her situation. And the park manager just didn't think that was right. So he reached out to Katie and I, and briefed us on the situation and asked if we would want to step in and help. And we were so grateful. So we did. We met with this 93-year-old woman, and she came into the office, to the park manager's office. And John, I don't know how to describe this to you over the phone here, but she was a very fragile, vulnerable 93-year-old woman, frightened, overwhelmed. She just she had a lot going on, and she didn't have any allies. There was no one there to help her. She was desperate. And so we went in and we sat down with her, and we just talked about life for a while. We talked about what was going on, and she gave us kind of the rundown on where she was, and she needed $4,700. It came down to that. That was the biggest thing on her mind. She was like, I'm struggling. I'm scared. They're going to take the park away. She was just very emotional. So Katie and I were in a position to help her. And so she kind of reminded of me of my grandmother, I think. I just fell in love with this woman. She was just such a wonderful human. And, she was proud. But she was vulnerable. And so what we did was we said, hey, you know what? We're in a position to give you more than what you're asking for, as a sign of good faith. And so we worked with her. We ended up giving her $5,000. And she was over the moon excited, but she didn't remember to bring any of the paperwork with her, John. So she was so excited, and she ended up going back home, and we decided to meet up at her place, to finish out the paperwork a couple of days later. So long story short, this was right before Christmas, probably October, November last year. I meet her at her house, and she was waiting all day. She kept calling me. She's like, you coming over? But I had to, we couldn't make it because we were working full time. So we made it after. And she's like, I've been waiting all day. I'm so excited. And she was less excited about selling the property to us, and she was more excited about showing off her Christmas tree. So she brought us in, and she sat us down in this very clean. It was a single family home. You could tell she took a lot of pride in it. Very clean, but she's got this beautiful tree in the middle of the living room, and we just talked about the tree, and we talked about life and her family and what was going on, and we closed the deal and whatnot. But that was the moment when Katie and I, we discussed it, and we said, this woman, she's had a rough run, right? And there's no one there around to really help. So what we decided to do was, for Christmas, for the holidays, step up beside her and help her, do life with her, right? And so we grabbed our contractors and we created this big work party, and we surprised her a couple of weeks later at her house. And we had a whole front yard full of workers and volunteers and kids and dogs, and we all had matching T-shirts and shovels and rakes, and it was just such a wonderful day. We ended up taking care of her, taking care of the property, doing her yard work, and cutting down all the shrubs and nasty vines and stuff around her house so she could put up her Christmas lights. And it just meant the world to her. So
yeah, Dan paints a good picture, and what's being there in reality, it was really heartbreaking because she's going through a really hard time. Her daughter had passed during that time, so there was a lot weighing on her. She had a son who was not any help, as he was actually more of a burden to her. And for someone her age, and with her ability or lack thereof, her house outside, it was just a mess. Her fence was falling apart. Neighbors had complained. There was overgrowth. It was heartbreaking to see all of this stuff going on, and she couldn't physically do anything about it. And with limited income, she couldn't pay anybody to do it. And so, talking to our contractors, and doing this work party, this little volunteer day to help her, it was a lot of fun. But I mean, when we showed up and we told her what we were going to do to help her out and everything, she started crying. And it was, she was so overjoyed, not just because there was somebody there, but there was, obviously we cared. It wasn't just about making a deal, or getting money or anything like that. It was, we really truly wanted to help her out, and she saw that, and she was very grateful. And having our contractors be there and putting, taking time out of their Saturday and bringing their kids and getting them involved. And even their kids had made t-shirts is,
Oh my God.
Yeah, John, it was so cool. They
So-
made some tie-dye t-shirts
Yeah.
with our with our
Logo.
company logo and name on it.
So,
It was just awesome, right before the holidays, being able to assist this woman and just do life with her. It was wonderful. And so, you asked what's your favorite part of investing in this space, and I think that had to be it. There was that, at least for me, that was my favorite day so far. Just the look on this woman's face, the expression, the pure joy and excitement, and when she was able to put up her Christmas lights, and it was like, wow, what a game changer, what a wonderful way to get involved and do some good. So and John, true story, we couldn't have done that without you, man. We would not even have been in this space without your leadership and guidance and process. So kind of a shout out to you in the process, man. Trust the process. It works. And it opened doors that you don't even know exist. It has for us, and it has for that elderly woman. And we still stay in touch with her today. So things are good.
If anyone had to get those deals or that deal, I'm grateful. I'm glad, proud that it was you both. What you said about being proud but vulnerable, and I'm thinking that's a lot of people. That's like my grandparents, and how many mothers or grandparents or great grandparents are like that right now. And for you to give back more than you had to, and then give the time up, nobody would have known that. You didn't make any extra money. Nobody would have cared. I mean, it doesn't help you any, but that's incredible. It matters so much to her, and wow, that's incredible. Yeah. And yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, it inspires us to continue doing that with other people, and making the business a big part of that. We want to continue getting involved in the community and getting out there and helping those
less fortunate.
Less fortunate. And
that's something that we've committed to as a business. And we've committed to stepping up and supporting at least one family like that each year, right? And so it's going to be a wonderful way to give back and
hopefully inspire others. That's if we can make this more of the norm, just
exception,
it would be great.
Love it.
How do you manage those handymen and those contractors? You got them out there. Not sure if you were paying or not, but just in general, how are you managing handymen, contractors? How'd you find them? And what's your feedback there?
Yeah, great questions, John. I think that's probably one of the most challenging roadblocks that we've hit, in this short time that we've been in business. So I must have done over 60, I think maybe 65 different interviews for contractors.
Great job.
And mostly through Facebook Marketplace or Facebook growth, groups that we've explored, and then on Craigslist, and then word of mouth. So there's a lot of folks that are now all of a sudden handymen because they lost work. They don't have, but they have skills, and they may not be insured. They may not be, licensed, but they're very good at a specific task, whether it's roofing or, painting or you name it, laying down floors or patchwork. So we've gone through, a full gamut of folks, and we've got a lot of time put into that. That's probably one of the most, that's probably 80%, you've heard of the 80-20 rule. I think that's probably what we're putting the most time into, is making sure we have the right people in the right positions, because, we've learned through trial and error, right? The first contractor we hired was very motivated, and had great referrals, but ended up quitting halfway through our first renovation. And talk about being scared, John. Talk about fear. We were so excited about getting into this first renovation. We bought the property. We had everything lined up. That we were following the process, right? And we're halfway through. We pay him, the first half, and he just walks away. And we were like, well, now what do we do? Like, we're so green, so new. We had no idea what to do. So luckily we just went back to the process and we started doing interviews again. And then we found some great contractors, and they've been with us ever since. We're on our 8th mobile home now, and they've been with us ever since. And now, we manage them and we try to keep them happy, right? We work as a team. We make sure that we empower them. We start from a place of abundance, and we assume good intent. And sometimes they mess up, John. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes we walk into a property and we're like, ooh, how did that happen, right? But that comes back to what Katie was talking about, which is be graceful, right? So gratitude and grace, and we help them, they help us. We give them bonuses. We take them out to dinner. We do everything we can to help them succeed, and then we succeed. We succeed or fail as a team.
Yeah, and from someone who observes, because I'm not as good as managing people as Dan. So that's his forte is working with the contractors. But, I've observed him in the process, and there's some challenging situations where they're not doing things up to our standards, or things are done sloppy or incorrectly. And those issues have to be addressed, but you don't want to make them feel like they're less than, or that you're above them, or insult their work. And there's, you got to kind of do this dance. You got to have that communication and be honest with them and direct, but you also want to maintain that professional business. And Dan's great at really building them up, just showing gratitude. And that's part of, the bonuses, or taking them out to dinner when a property sells, is, he's very grateful for the work that they put in. And while not every time it's going to be smooth and easy, or, there's going to be some conflict or disagreements on how things are done or how things look in the end, bottom line is he treats them with respect and makes sure that they know that he appreciates what they're doing.
And did you learn that dance of showing respect, but also running a tight ship? Did you learn that somewhere, or is that?
Yeah.
From me.
Yeah, exactly.
Good answer.
Yeah. That's the secret, right? Yeah, absolutely. So great question, John. I think so. I've got a military background, and spent some time in the Navy and in the Army. And both branches of service, they taught me so much about just discipline and accountability and communication, and ultimately just focusing less on the individual and more on the mission. And with mobile homes, we kind of translate that into, hey, listen, if someone was supposed to put in flooring, for example, and the flooring didn't come out to standard, we hold them accountable, but we don't focus specifically on their individual failure. Instead, we focus on the mission, and it's all about the results, right? So we talk to them and just empower them to say, hey, this is obviously not your best work. We're going to have to redo this. And then we ask them, how can I help you succeed? How can I help? Is there something I could have done to help you execute this task, more efficiently or to standard, to eliminate rework? And that's ultimately the goal, right? Is to eliminate the rework and then get the job done the first time. And we learn as we go. So, but yeah, I think looking back, I think a lot of those skills were learned, through military service.
Is there one deal breaker that either before you hire somebody or after you hire someone, and then, they do this thing, or is there one deal breaker that you will not work with someone, or you just instantly fire them? Or?
Yeah, so I think honesty and integrity are probably come to mind. Those are the most important things for us. We try to lead our community and our business, and we can't do that if our team is not on board to the standards that we are, right? So we set high standards for integrity and honesty, and if they don't meet that, then we don't judge them. We just say, hey, they might not be the right fit for our team. So that's kind of our bar. That's where we set our bar and our standard.
Good. And you mean it. You'd rather not work with someone, if there'll be other people out there that you can find that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important because having redundancy built into the business is critical. And we learned that the first time when we were caught with our pants down, so to speak, because our first business, our first deal, the contractor left halfway through it, and we were at a disadvantage at that point. And so we were like, how do we fix this going forward? Right. At the time, it seemed catastrophic. And and we were just out of our depth. But after looking back and navigating that as a team, and then John, with your help and guidance, as we've navigated that, and now we look back on it, we say, hey, you know what? That was a great opportunity, especially right up front, trial by fire. And now we realize, hey, we have to have a team of contractors available to us. And so now the question is, well, how do we go about building that team? How do we go about building that redundancy into the business? So even if, during a renovation, if a contractor gets sick and gets COVID or something, what do we do? What's the backup plan? So that's probably one of the biggest key takeaways that we've learned is always have a backup plan, especially as we try to scale and get bigger.
Let's absolutely talk about that more. And you're right about that. And there's some things to watch out for and do. On that first gentleman, I think I know the answer to this, but because I'm pretty sure we talked about it, but you did not pay anything before the work got started. It sounded like he did half the work, you gave him half the money, and then he bailed. But you didn't.
That is exactly correct. We don't pay anybody before the work is completed. But we did set up some sort of draw system where, okay, halfway through the job, we'll go and walk through it and see how things are going. And at that point, he could request a draw, and we paid him half for the job, for the labor. And at that point, he just, he walked away. And at that point, it was kind of scary for us. We didn't know what to do, but
he could have did that. I have no idea who the guy was, but he could have taken the money if you gave him half it in the beginning and just walked away and not even done any of the work. At least he did what he did and then bailed. That's a good time to bail,
Yeah,
after he does the work, if he does good work.
It certainly was. Yeah, it worked out. It worked out well for us. We found some excellent contractors after that we've been just so grateful for. So,
and we want to keep looking and keep searching. And some people do things better than others or better prices. How do you both deal with, for the folks listening that are getting started with a partnership or getting started, husband and wife? How do you deal with all of that, with the problems that come up, or with just day-to-day operations, or who's responsible for what, or maybe that's where the jujitsu helps and comes in?
Yeah, Katie chokes me out a lot, John. Yeah. But let me pass that to Katie first, then I think I'll round it out.
Yeah, so this was kind of Dan's thing when he started. I kind of thought he was crazy because this is definitely foreign to me. I had never even thought of it, but his energy and his drive is very inspiring. It's contagious. So it's hard not to be intrigued when he gets passionate about something and does a lot of research. And he did all the legwork. And after finding you, he really got excited about starting this process and really dove in. And I was just kind of, observing from the outside. So we had talked about both of us getting into it, but at the time I had just started a new position at my job and was very busy. So I was like, sure. Yeah. Just let me know when, you want help. So I would go with him to look at places, and I made the signs. So it was very much, I can do what you tell me to do, but he was the main driver and still is. So I think that I'm perfectly comfortable with him being the leader in this, and I'm happy to assist. There's definitely over the past year, I've seen areas where I have strengths that I can contribute and that I have passions for. I love organizing, especially when it comes to the financial part. So that's something that we've talked about me taking on is that part of it. So if for anybody starting out, I would definitely say it's a learning process, and you got to be patient with yourself and with each other and with the process. And but the farther in you get, the more you'll learn about what your strengths are, what their strengths are, and just finding a groove, finding a way to kind of work together.
Yeah, I don't think I could have come up with a better answer than that. I think that's spot on. I'm, Katie, I don't want you to sell yourself short. I think she's been there for me the entire way, right? And John, as you know, there's ups and downs. So, great celebrations and really exciting times, but also some challenging times, right? Emotionally trying times, and but she's been there with me through the whole thing. And I think communication is key. And setting expectations, right? So when we first started, I had expectations that we were going to be 50-50 in this, and we kind of agreed to that. But then life happened, right? She ended up getting a new position, and that just didn't seem reasonable. And so we kind of zigged and zagged. We kind of just helped each other out and tried to be fluid. And when we did, that was a huge game changer, right? So when we went in with a specific expectation of being 50-50, and then when life happened, we just decided, hey, we can still move forward. We just have to communicate a little bit differently. We have to take on some different roles, different responsibilities, and try to be clear with that. So we just level set with expectations and move forward. And, it's been very successful ever since.
Yeah, that communication as far as expectation, I mean, communication in any aspect of life makes a big difference, and setting those expectations, what we expect from each other, what's real and realistic, because
but then you don't know what you don't know, right? So going into this, we had a really good process to follow, but we've never been business owners before. And so things like vision and communication and getting out there and making relationships with mobile home park managers, that was my thing. I was so excited. I was good at it. I excelled there, but I didn't really excel in the bookkeeping part, and so that's where Katie came in. Like my handwriting is atrocious. So when I tried to make some signs, I couldn't even read them. So I was like, babe, I'm going to need some help here. And she did. She was right there with me the whole time. So, I think it's just a matter of, understanding your own strengths and weaknesses and try to fill each other's gaps.
Finding a business partner that you work well with is so rare. And then to be in a relationship and then actually add a business onto that. The question I have for you that I'm rambling about, was there ever a point in the last year that you had thought just about giving up? I mean, this, life's negative sometimes, or we can be negative. Was there ever a time that you were thinking about just giving up with mobile homes? Or
for me, yes.
Every single day.
Yeah.
No, there are definitely times where it feels like everything falls apart all at once. Contractors are unhappy, and the result of something didn't turn out, or deal falls through, or somebody's just being straight up rude. And it's like, you just can't win. What's the point? It's not worth the battle. And so having a partner, it's kind of funny, because when one of us is really excited about it and really motivated, and sometimes the opposite is happening for the other person. So we kind of got to keep bringing each other up. But Dan's so great about persevering through hardships, and he's excellent in dealing with people in general and having those tough conversations. So for me, I think I would have quit long ago had this just been me on my own. But I don't know. Have you thought about throwing in the towel at all? I don't know.
Yeah, there was a couple of times where it got a little dicey, but I just go back to trusting the process, and I believe it works. I have faith in it. I've seen it work, and having John, you're like our lifeline, right? If something goes down, and I can literally call you on the phone and be like, hey, John, this is the situation, and you walk us right through it. So we would not be here and this successful in this stage, without your guidance and leadership on that. So yeah, much appreciated, John. Seriously.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you both for saying that. I mean, if anything, I opened the door. We used to speak a lot more over the phone, and now, needing me less and less and less. But all of that, still, you are putting in the effort. Now you've made the relationships and you're building a reputation for yourself, and you're putting in the effort and just, time and time again, stepping up. Yeah, that's incredible. What is the, have you done any, what do your deals look like? Are they mostly, they're a combination of, are you wholesaling any? Are you just buying, and you're not selling them all for cash, you're holding on to some for payments? What do your deals look like, or for the 8 or 9 that you've done?
Yeah. So far it's just been just about straight down the middle. We've had about half payments and half cash. But one thing that we have noticed with our deals is that there are way more buyers out there looking for rent to own / payments in our little, in our area of operations. And so it takes us a little more work and a little more time to find the cash buyers. So that was something that I was not ready for. I was anticipating all cash buyers. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to get cash buyers all the time. It's going to be fantastic. And that just was not the case. It was not the reality. So I think the market has kind of shown us and led us to, hey, this is like a good price point, right? And the market shows us that versus, hey, rather than just trying to say muscle it through and say, hey, I want this much money for this property. It might sit for 2, 3, 4 months, but we let the market speak to us. And if we put it on and it's a little too pricey, we get that feedback, then we adjust, right? We make those adjustments. And I think that's the key takeaway, is just being able to read the market and let it speak to you and listen.
Yeah. And they have all been in mobile home parks.
Yeah, we have not. Yep, we haven't done any wholesales yet, and we have not done any land ones yet. We did come close to a land deal, but that ended up falling through, which was a bummer. But so far, all of our deals have been in parks. We have 155 and plus, and the rest have been all family parks.
Thank you for mentioning that about the parks and about on land. And there's way more mobile homes on land than there are in parks, and you've still been so busy with the homes in parks. You can always go down on price when you're selling. So starting a bit higher and going down is definitely the right move to go versus starting low and going up. Question for you: when you're selling your mobile homes, before you buy a home, do you know, okay, I'm going to sell this one for cash regardless of the price? Or do you try to sell it for cash, and then if you can't get the cash you want, then you flip over into payments as like a plan B? Or I guess that's my question in the past.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, the great Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right? And so we can very much relate to that with mobile homes. So, to answer your question, we 100% had a plan, like, hey, we're going to sell this for cash. And then we put it out there and it's like nothing. So we listen to the market, right? If we have 5 or 10 folks saying, hey, I can put, this much down and put it on payments, then, hey, we listen to that, right? We don't want to stick to a plan if it's not working, right? So that's we've had to adjust, make a couple of adjustments on that.
What's been your biggest payday for selling on cash?
I think our biggest payday for selling on cash, let me see here. So far we have 2 sold on cash, and we bought 1. So the first was Mobile Home 2, the Naked Lady home. We didn't do very well on that one. And so the other cash deal that we had that was sold, we bought one for, I think, $9,000, and we ended up selling that one for $32,000. So that was a huge shot of adrenaline for us. It didn't take much to flip it, just a little bit of pain. I think we put maybe $500 or $600 into that property, and sold it for $3,200 or $32,000. So we were just overwhelmed with excitement on that one. That was a great deal.
That means you forget about all those really crummy days.
Yeah.
You're not retiring off of any single deal, but That's not the point. And you reinvest that into more mobile homes, into more advertising and marketing or bigger deals. Do you both eventually want parks, or is that on your radar, or what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, 100%. So we've kind of come up with a number, right? And our number is 20. We want to do 20 deals, 20 sales. And once we hit that number, we are going to start looking at parks. And I think that should give us enough of a learning curve to start feeling really comfortable in the space. And at that point, we really want to expand. We want to grow our business. We want to scale, and we want to do both. I don't think we'll ever get out of the mobile home space. It's just so wide open, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful, and it's opened up doors where we're meeting new people, and so we're never going to stop there. But we do want to grow, and we do want to invest in parks. And hopefully once we meet that number 20, we'll start moving forward.
Like 12 months from now.
Yeah, we're hoping in 3 months, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Any stories that you can think of with problem sellers or problem buyers that come to mind, and what the
How
problem
much time do you have?
So that brings up something that we just dealt with very recently, right? So Mobile Home 2, we talked about that one, our second deal.
That one has a special name.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to his story in the beginning. That's always been referred to as the naked lady home. It's the only one of the mobile homes that has a name. But
it's the only one. I was going to say they usually have names, like we nickname many of them. Okay, well
sometimes we have names for them, but so Mobile Home 2,
naked lady home.
Naked lady home. Exactly. It started out as a really big winner. We thought it was going to be a big win, right? $1,500 for a mobile home. This is something someone's going to live in, and it had so much potential, John. It was great, right? It was in a shady area, had a screened-in porch, a lot of parking, great community, great neighbors. Like it was a win-win. But there was so much challenges with that property. And then when we finally started marketing it, we had a ton of interest. But we had a lot of challenges with the park manager there. So the challenges were people would come in and they would apply, and it wouldn't take, they would market it and say, hey, 24 hours, you should know if you're approved or not at the park. And it was taking, 5, 6, 7 days versus, the 24 hours. So we were finding through feedback that a lot of people would come in, they would, hey, I want this property. I want it right now. Here's the money. And we would pump the brakes and say, hey, let's slow down. Let's make sure we go through the process. We do it the right way. We would bring them to the mobile home park office. They would apply. And then the trail would go cold because it would take them a week or more. And at that point, they had already moved on and found another property. So that was a very frustrating. We had that happen multiple times, and that was very frustrating.
Well, yeah, and the same one. It took us. That was the longest one we held on to, and so I was ready to get rid of it.
Yeah.
We'll pay somebody to take it. But the one of the last people that we worked with, we sold the mobile home.
Yep. So we did sell. They get approved, and it took them a week, but hey, they got approved, and they were still on it. So that was great. We signed off and did all the paperwork, and it was a cash deal. It was great. But then they ended up getting it inspected after and found out that it needed some electrical work, and we were fully transparent about that. But they did not want to take on that extra responsibility of having it done. They said, hey, listen, I don't have the money. I can't pay for this. And I said, well, you already signed the documentation and gave us the check. So there was a little bit of conflict management that we had to go through there, and we did it all internally. And we, from our end, we were very, very professional, very respectful.
Mm-hmm.
But the other end was not.
She was nasty.
Yeah,
say it. She was not a pleasant person to deal with.
Yeah.
And bottom line is, through your advice and mentorship on that one, John, is this someone that we'd want to work with for until the payments were made? And No.
Yeah, that was a quick no. That was an easy no.
Yeah,
So,
that was an easy no, and it made our decision easier to just let her out of the contract, and
Yep.
and we ended up selling it a couple weeks after that.
Yeah, maybe not even 2 weeks after we had another person in the seat and sold it. So I think the moral of that story is, don't get so wrapped up and caught up in the situation where it turns you into someone that you're not, right? Don't let that nasty buyer turn you or your business into something that you're not. And so we decided to take the high road, and we let them out of the contract. We gave them grace, and they were still nasty and unappreciative, and they threatened us. And so they were like,
"Good riddance."
Yeah. So we
were,
we were like, "Hey, man, thank you, but we're good." And so that ended up being a good news story, but it was very challenging, and during those times, it was not easy.
Isn't it amazing? I don't know if other businesses are like this. We only have what we've gone through in life, but I feel like real estate or mobile homes has just prepared me. It's given me a crash course in just people, in real, and just, I don't know, in human psychology or relationships or experience. It just fast forwards you to have all this experience that the average Joe doesn't have, of trusting people, or not trusting, but trusting and verifying. And then you make all these decisions on, well, I feel this way, my heart's saying this, but my head is saying this, and then other people are saying this, and what do I do? And anyway,
I couldn't agree with you more, John. I think that's as we have found a passion for this and some success with it, our friends are starting to notice, our family's starting to notice. And they're like, "What are you guys doing? We want to do it too," right? And so it's addicting, and people are excited about it. But that comes with challenges too. So just recently, I had a friend of mine, his mom, reached out to me and said, "Hey, I want to buy a mobile home from you, and I'd like to pay it on payments. And she's in a tough place; she doesn't have a job, and that kind of pulls at your heartstrings a little bit, right?" So I think the challenge is, where do you draw the line between being a business and being a charity? And I think that's a really hard thing that I was not prepared for coming into the business, right? I was just thinking, hey, this is going to be a great side business, ultimately going to lead to our goals, like we talked about in the beginning, but we didn't realize how much of a need is out there, and who that's affecting, right? When you talk to your friends and your friends' parents, everything seems great on the on the face of things, but they come out of the woodwork and they say, "Hey, I'm really hurting right now. I could use your help." And so that's a real challenging part of the business, is trying to balance profitability with being a helpful person in the community and trying to do the right thing. So I think that's probably been one of the most challenging, unforeseen circumstances that we've had to deal with.
That's incredible. But you've gone through the BS, you've gone through the struggles, the fact that you have these stories to tell, the good ones and the bad ones, because you're involved in this, and you're not playing the game. I hate that kind of phrase, but like you're in this business and you're doing this, and you have these stories to tell, and it's mostly good and it's a little bad, but even the bad is constructive and you learn from it. And
oh, absolutely. And that's the attitude you really have to have when things get hard and there's challenges or they don't go as planned. It's walking away with the attitude of, I'm learning something, I'm growing from this, and I'm going to be a better mobile home business owner because of this.
Yeah, I think to Katie's point, attitude is everything, right? And opportunity is everywhere. So that's one of the things that we've taken away as business owners, is how much opportunity is truly out there in this space. And at first, there was a stigma around it. I didn't want to be involved in mobile homes. I thought it was trashy. I was like, I was like, I don't want any part of that. And I want to be in the single family business. I want to be a real estate mogul. That's my goal. And man, was I wrong. And that was based on just not knowing, just not having the knowledge, and really just unfortunately being biased. And so I've realized my unconscious bias, and now I'm better for it. And now we've created a business around that. And I think that is actually probably I don't want to say it's a good thing for us, but there is a stigma around mobile homes, and that's almost to our advantage, because now there's less people in that space, and so that just creates an opening for us that we can really navigate through. And we've met some great people, we've helped some great people, and it's changed our lives for the better.
And it's only been a short period of time.
Yeah, a little over a year, John. It's
it feels longer.
Yeah.
That's so true. Wow. And you're so right about the stigma. I mean, what for buyers or for sellers or other investors. There's some people in the group that haven't told their family or friends what they're doing. They're doing completely, they're waiting for after their fifth or sixth deal, and then they'll do things. But it's crazy, as if this business wasn't difficult enough. Then
right.
Well, even from our own family members. There's been some judgment, but
pushback. Judgment and pushback from our own family members, and I think it's coming from a good spot, right? They don't want to see us fail, and they don't want to see us getting involved in something that they think could be have a negative connotation. But ultimately, it's like it's crazy. They say the haters and the disbelievers, but they're all coming to our side now. They're like, hey, can we invest with you? Can we put money in with you? Like, can we be a part of this? So it's great. It's just a real win-win. It's just a real win-win. It's been a great experience.
That's incredible. Is there anything, I'm just looking at the time now and it's been almost an hour. Is there anything that you'd like to touch on, or that you think was just important for folks extra that we didn't talk about? I know we've been kind of all over the place.
I think the biggest thing is to just dream big, right? We came into this and we had I don't want to say unrealistic expectations, but we didn't realize it could work. We had doubts, and after gaining momentum and going through the good, the bad, the ugly, it's just reaffirmed that there's so much opportunity out there. If you have the right attitude, you can do it. Trust the process and dream big. This is going to unlock so much potential and so many things, some doors that you don't even know exist. At least that's been our experience, right? So I think for those that are listening that either are on the cusp of doing it or are thinking about doing it, I would just say go for it, right? Don't get stuck in the analysis paralysis piece. Don't get stuck there. I would say daily action and get after it. Do it. You really can. You really can do it, and you'd be surprised at what you're going to learn, not only about yourself but about your community.
Have a plan, work the plan, expect to take regular action, expect to be challenged and have hurdles regularly. Ideally have somebody you can talk to.
That's critical. I remember feeling so nervous on my first deal, talking to the park manager, and I thought they would see right through my fragile shell of confidence, and it was scary, right? It was scary going to these folks, and then when people were coming to see the property after we renovated it, they were asking me questions I didn't know the answer to, and that made me feel very uncomfortable. And so I think it's just a matter of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable in the beginning, and just being okay with learning, right? And being okay to ask the question. So to your point, John, I was calling you all the time, about silly questions, and but they weren't silly for me at the time. They were extremely important, and you were always there. So I just shout out to you in the process. Thank you. We're grateful.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Katie. Thank you so much. I will not going anywhere. So hopefully we, with more homes and some wholesales and consignments and stuff on land, and then parks, and then more homes, and then more parks. There's a lot more to do.
Absolutely.
This is cool. Thank you so much again, both of you, for being here and taking the time. And that was awesome. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this and working together. And I mean, still got more to do, but thank you again.
Thank you, John. We're so grateful. And this has changed not only our lives, but the lives in our community, right? And for all in a good, positive way. So We really appreciate everything that you've done and that you're doing. And we really look forward to getting after it. We look forward to buying more homes. We look forward to getting involved in parks and in partnerships. And we're motivated, we're excited, but we're humble and grateful. So thanks again.
The ideas and advice given in today's episode are for entertainment purposes only. If you have future ideas or questions for upcoming episodes, please email us at support@mobilehomeinvesting.net. If you've enjoyed this podcast episode, the biggest compliment you can give is to like and share this podcast with your friends.